Let's wait for 2 more minutes before he starts. What? Are you hallucinating? Oh, that's right. Hope you're not looking at something that's not safe for work. It's auto framing. It zooms in on the part that moves it. I once got onto the dark web using USB secure wireless. Oh, yeah. With another VPN, of course. But you know they have these websites on the dark web. So first of all, so who here has been on the dark web?
Just like a Tor browser.
Tor browser, and then actually visited some like sketchy sites.
Oh, the Silk Road.
Huh?
The Silk Road.
What?
The Silk Road.
Still what?
Like the Silk Road. Like that's what you mean.
Silk Road, yeah. That kind of website. Just looking at these websites they're not criminal, okay? As long as you don't do anything. But I saw this website that's basically like assassins for hire. And then like depending on how high profile the target is, like there are different rates. And I saw this like website that sells weapons and military stuff, and it's like you can buy like a Soviet tank and then like you can deliver it if you live in Europe.
Only in Europe?
Yeah. But the most interesting website I thought was they have those websites that sell like really cheap electronics. I assume they're bought with stolen credit cards. There's also those websites that sell like gift cards. Like they'll sell you a $400 gift card for $100. Probably also bought with like stolen cards. I've never bought one, but I've always wondered if they're legit. But I know like 90% of the stores on the dark web are like scams because you pay them. How can you know if they'll actually fulfill your order, right? I've just always wondered that.
Don't they have like a feedback system or something?
Bro, you're on the dark web.
Better business. You said looking wasn't a crime.
Huh?
You said looking wasn't a crime.
Looking isn't, but I don't think anyone's interested in leaving any like identifiable information on the dark web, so there certainly isn't going to. I don't think there's a feedback system. I actually don't know. I've never been on the Silk Road. Have you?
I have not. No.
You haven't?
But
I wonder if they have like a review system.
didn't the Silk Road get like taken down with their?
Yeah. That's why I haven't been on there because I actually can't. Okay. Is it a special day today? A lot of people on Zoom. So for today's class, I'm gonna go over homework 4. Okay. And after I'm done with homework 4, let's see. I can either cover some new material or I can just take questions. We'll see what happens. We only have like
What we studied for the midterm.
could, but that's basically homework 4.
So midterm here. So like if we know the homework 4 in and out, like
Yeah. Yep. If you know,
no new surprises.
nope. It's just like another homework 4. No class next Tuesday, so post on Piazza, everybody, please check Piazza. I beg you, check Piazza, okay? I posted this yesterday. Let me show it here. So the midterm will last for 24 hours, okay? I don't care when you start, the earlier you start, the more time you have, okay? But the deadline is 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, okay? So if you start at 11, then you only have 59 minutes, okay? And no class next Tuesday. So format is exactly the same as homework 4. You'll be given the test cases, so you know exactly how much you're going to get. I like to think that that is fair. Okay. Yeah, so that's about the midterm.
In comparison to homework 4, is like about the same length or shorter or longer?
Let me check actually. Yeah, stop sharing.
Sure.
Huh? Share it?
You won't.
I don't know, maybe my fingers slipped. Okay, let's see.
And we won't need to know any TypeScript for this one, right?
No. I would say that, yeah, this is just like homework 4, same difficulty. Okay, so if you know homework 4 in and out, then you'll be just fine. Okay, so let's do something here. Let's work on let's do homework 4. Okay. Oh man. First, we'll look at the notion. Briefly go over what homework 4 does. Well, I mean, I'm not going to go through the notion because we all know what homework 4 does by now. If you don't, then you have bigger problems to worry about. So what homework 4 does is you're given 3 interfaces to implement, but the main logic is that it's a fund splitter. Okay, so let's say I'm trying to deposit some money to be split evenly between Matthew and Jeffrey. Okay, so I will call it the deposit function, and the parameter will just be it's a list of addresses, so it'll be Matthew's address and Jeffrey's address. Okay. External payable. Okay, so what payable means is that this function is able to receive money. So functions without receive ether. Sorry. So functions without the payable property, if you try to send money to them, they will revert. Okay. So and also message.value will always be 0 unless the function is marked as payable. Then it will be possible to not be 0. Okay, because if a function is not payable, then you can't send money to it. So then message.value it can't be any other number than 0, right?
So you can technically have like a message.value in a function if you don't have the payable.
You can you can, but it's just useless. It's always going to be 0.
Okay, yeah. So it would just be like a shell. It won't do anything.
Yeah. And I can't imagine that you'll have to you can't make use of it in any meaningful way. Okay, so we got deposit. We also have okay. This is also important. This function cannot be called if the contract is paused. Okay, so that tells me I need some kind of modifier to check if the function is paused. And pausing and ownership, they're up here. Okay, and that we also have to implement. But the most important thing is there's something called a pull payment pattern in Solidity, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So what a pull payment what a pull payment pattern means is that, let's say, still same case, same scenario, okay? I'm trying to split money between Matthew and Jeffrey. So a pull payment pattern means that I will deposit the money, but they will have to initiate the withdrawals. Okay, and some people make the mistake, or the most intuitive way to do things is that, well, once I calculate how much money they're each going to get, why don't I just send the money to them immediately in the smart contract? Okay, so this is mainly because it's a bit more complicated, and we won't cover this, but whenever funds are transferred, so the transfer of ether is actually, if the target is a smart contract, then something called the callback function is invoked, is called. So the callback function, think of it as it's a default function. It doesn't have a name. Well, it used to not have a name. Now it does have a name. But it doesn't have. It's implicitly declared, meaning that you don't have to write it out, and it's by default it's there. You can change its behavior, redefine it, but if you don't do anything, by default, it's there. It doesn't do anything. And when money is sent to that smart contract, it will just really take the money. But there are a few downsides. First, the first downside is that by default, the callback function, by default, it doesn't do anything. But what if that smart contract has the callback function defined, and it has some other weird behavior, or maybe it just reverts on all the calls. So what's going to happen is that my deposit function will always revert, because as I've calculated how much money they're each going to get. If, let's say, Matthew's address is actually a smart contract with a callback function that reverts whenever any money is received, then then Jeffrey will never get his money. And actually the whole transaction will just never go through, because he keeps reverting whenever I try to send him money. Okay, so pull payment pattern means that they have to initiate the withdrawal. So that's not a problem anymore. Okay. The callback function is also called when when you try to call a function that doesn't exist in a smart contract. Okay. Actually, never mind. So yeah, so if there's money that's being sent with it, and so meaning that if it's not a function call, then it won't revert. But if it is a function call, then it won't revert. So this is a bit of it's kind of the behavior is not consistent, a bit ambiguous. So in newer versions of Solidity, including the version that we're working on 0.8, the callback function only handles when you call a smart contract, you call a function that doesn't exist in a smart contract. And the function that gets invoked when money is received by a smart contract, it's got a separate function handling it called receive. Okay, so they've separated it in the newer ones, but you guys don't have to know about this right now, or really, well, I wouldn't say ever, but at least not right now. We'll get to it maybe in homework 6. Okay.
Can you define callback function? Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, by default, the callback function will revert. I think without an error message, you can define like a custom error message, or you can redirect the call to some other internal or public function, or you can redirect the call to some other smart contracts function. It's just a normal function, but the only difference is that you don't get to rename it. It's there by default. You get to redefine it, but and also you can't explicitly call it. It's called when you call something that doesn't exist. It's like that's a good analogy.
I kind of understand it a little bit. Can you? Is it so you can't see any code then, right? Like, or
No, not here.
can you? Is there a function in here that implicitly calls back the callback function?
Well, okay. So you see the functions in here. I have owner. I have toggle pause. Well, okay, not counting the view functions. I have toggle pause. I have deposit and withdraw. But if I call a function angel, which obviously doesn't exist here, because it doesn't exist, it will just go to the callback function. It will call the callback function instead. It's like else in the if else statement. So imagine the EVM trying to match the function signature that you're calling. And the else would mean that it doesn't match anything that exists, so it will just go to callback.
And you can set what it is.
Yeah.
If there's value on the transaction, does it call that by default send you back the money?
Well, if the transaction is reverted, then it's like it never happened.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, so let's start here. We have to implement three things. First one, the ownable. Second one, possible. Third one, splitter. Okay. Now I get to see my coding skills. Okay. So owner stuff. We've got three things. First one, I define an event for you to emit. Okay. Secondly, there's a function called transfer ownership. Transfers ownership to a new address. Well, we have to think about it, right? Who can call that function? Do I just let any random person redefine the owner? If that's the case, then it's the concept of this owner thing is kind of useless, because if anyone can modify it, then what's the point of having one, right? So probably only the current owner can define a new owner. Just like if you're the owner of your car, no one else can sell your car, right? Only you can go to a DMV and tell the DMV it's a gift, so there's no sales tax. Okay, so but before we do that, we need a variable to keep track of what the current owner is. Okay, so I'm going to declare my variables here. So, wow, look at this. So I'll be a private owner or internal private, doesn't matter. Okay, I'll do private for now. And the reason I'm doing _owner and making it private instead of public is that I already have this owner function, and because you can't modify the interface, you can't delete it. But the owner, there's already an owner function that returns it. So if you name the variable owner, make it public, or you can name it something else, but then there's like redundant functionality. Okay, so it's not necessary. So now that we have the owner address, what we'll do is transfer ownership. We can do something like if the message.sender is owner, then wow, it just auto-generated the code. If message.sender is the owner, then we reassign the owner and then emit the event saying that this is the owner. That's an interesting and pungent smell, I will say.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, what is that?
I just ground turkey rice with sriracha. Oh, veggies.
Which ingredient is that?
That's the sriracha.
Oh, there's sriracha.
That is not the really? That's the sriracha smell.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Alright, I'll finish.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just curious, and I know I'm not the only one who noticed. People in Zoom has missed out one more thing. Is there any difference? There is no difference. Okay, so let's say you have to do this check 3 times, 4 times in different functions. Then it might be a good idea to use a modifier so you don't have to copy and paste. But in this case, in this case I'm gonna have to use it twice because I'm also gonna do it in toggle pause. You know what? Let me just make it into a modifier then. Okay. Okay, so modifier, I believe it goes here. Let's call it only owner. So we'll just require, well, look at that. Just auto-generate the code.
Wait, so before you did the modifier, you had to require down.
Yeah.
Down. Okay.
What's this?
Wait, so what's the extension to autoscaling code?
Huh?
What's the extension to Copilot? Copilot?
GitHub Copilot, yeah. But if I call on you and you can't tell me what you did, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, sometimes it doesn't give me, sometimes it doesn't give you exactly what you want. So you can't like entirely rely on it. It's been getting better, but, okay, so not owner, how about that? So the error message that it was autofilling was too long. And why is that a problem? Because this is a string and you're storing it on your smart contract, so it's gonna make deployment more costly for you, okay? So there's our only owner modifier. And also, if you don't have any parameters, it's optional to have this, okay? You cannot have it, okay. You cannot have it, that's fine, but the formatting thing that I'm using automatically adds it. And by the way, like the template that I gave you guys actually have, it's got a formatter. So if you search for format on save and you check that, every time you save, it will format things very nicely for you. So look at this. If I just I can't do that. If I just randomly, do things like that. If I hit save, it will format everything for me. Okay. Okay, so now we've got only owner, and obviously this has to be only owner because we can't let anyone else do it. Okay, so we set the current owner to the new owner, and then we emit the event. Okay. Toggle pause also needs only owner because what pause does is that basically we should have a Boolean switch that keeps track of the pause, like that kind of. Basically, it shows if the contract is currently paused or not. Now the concept of being paused is entirely an artificial construct. You don't actually pause anything. It's just, but we can use a Boolean to say that, well, when this Boolean is true, then we're going to stop anyone from calling any functions. Okay, so this is an artificial pause. It's not like literally there's like a built-in pause and splitting. Okay. So we also need a Boolean here. We can do private pause. That's fine. Okay, and yeah, and what toggle pause does is that if the Boolean is false, we set it to true. If it's true, we flip it to false. Okay, so all we have to do here is, and look at this. Okay, yeah. So this is the syntax for just flipping it. Okay, so paused equals not paused. Okay, so now you're just flipping the Boolean, and also you have to wait. There's actually no event. Yeah, there's no event. So that's all you need. Okay. So we've got transfer ownership, only owner. Well, of course, because we added the pause functionality, you have to add a modifier that actually I'm going to turn it off because it keeps jumping ahead of me. Okay. Modifier. Why is it still active? I have to reload. Okay. There we go.
Do you feel threatened?
Huh?
Do you feel threatened?
Yeah. So only. How about only not paused? How about that? And I'll just require not paused basically. Okay. Or error message just paused. Okay. So what this does, it requires the pause variable to be false because not false is true, and when and a true will basically satisfy this requirement. Okay. So when the paused Boolean is false, it will satisfy this requirement. Okay. So we've got only owner, only not paused. We've got transfer ownership, toggle pause. What we have to do is we also have to set our very first owner, right? And usually that's the deployer. And the way to do it is in the constructor, because remember, the constructor is called when the contract is deployed. It's actually called within the deployment transaction, okay? And the sender naturally will be the deployer, okay? So what we can do here is we'll just do underscore owner equals message.sender, okay? Now, of course, if you can also make it so that the deployer can specify a custom owner, okay? And the way to do that is the constructor can take in parameters too. So owner, and you just do owner equals underscore owner equals owner, and that basically enables the deploy. Oh, okay, this is shadowing. Shadowing meaning that this name is the same as a different function or variable name, so that's not good practice. I'll just add another underscore. Okay, so if this is the way we do it, then the deployer, when they're deploying, in their deployment script, they have to explicitly supply this parameter, okay? But let's just Command Z and then use the deployer's address as the owner. The initial owner, okay, not the perpetual owner. Okay, so we have this, we've got these ones. Also, owner, these return, this is like 3 points, okay? Just returns variable, returns pos. And also, if you look at the return types, this is giving you a tremendous hint, okay? Like, how are you gonna keep track of who the owner is and if it's paused, okay? Like, if it returns a Boolean, then I wonder what's the type of the variable that we use to keep track of it, right? Okay, so we have all that. And then let's move on. So we've done, let me close this. So we've done the ownable and pausable parts, okay? What we have to do next is we have to do the splitter part. So we've got 2 events that we have to emit. One when we're depositing, when someone is withdrawing. Okay, and 3 functions: deposit, withdraw, balance off. Okay, so let's first look at balance off because, so let's actually first look at deposit. So deposit takes in a list of addresses, and it's also payable, so meaning it also takes payment. So the description says the caller deposits some amount of ether and splits it among recipients evenly. Okay, so we'll have to know how much is deposited, and we'll also have to have some kind of data structure to store the current balance of of any recipient, really, because anyone can call this function, anyone can use the splitter. Okay, and also the function cannot be called if the contract is paused, so you just have to add on the only not paused modifier. Okay. So first we have we have to come up with a data structure in order to keep track of everyone's balances. Yeah.
So why do you have to add the only not paused modifier?
Only not paused, because I say here the function cannot be paused if the function cannot be called if the contract is paused. I say it here.
Okay.
So you have to add it. Maybe I didn't test it. Did I? Did I test for that?
I think so.
Pause it. Yeah, I did test it. Yeah. Pause it cannot run while paused. And also, you'll also see I'm not initializing the paused variable because when the contract is first deployed, I want it to hit the ground running. Okay? And what's the default value of a Boolean?
False.
True is a 1, false is a 0. Yeah. So by default, it's not paused. I don't have to redefine it. Okay. I don't have to do underscore paused equals false in the constructor. Okay. Oh, okay. So actually, any modifiers here, I broke my own rule. Uh-oh. There we go. Actually, no. This is. So some kind of data structure to keep track of everyone's balances. Okay. So I'm gonna have a bunch of addresses, and each address corresponds to a numerical value that's basically the balance. I wonder what kind of data structure it is. You don't have to look far because there's only 2 of them in Solidity. There's array or mapping. These are the only ones that you can, like, these are the building blocks. 90% of the time, your answer is a mapping of some sort. Okay. So we'll do a mapping. So the mapping from what to what then, right? So we want to associate a balance, which is a number, with an address. So it's basically pointing from an address to a balance. And there's also a tremendous hint here in the balance of function. See, it takes in an address and returns you a number, right? So when you're trying to get something in the mapping, you always supply the key and then it gives you the value. So now you already know what the type of the key and the type of the value. Okay. So it's going to be a mapping that points from an address to a ITP-356. So let's do it. Mapping. I did it the wrong way. I'll make it private. I'll call it balances. Okay.
You can't have an array as a key, right?
I don't think so. Oh, okay, let's see. Oh, looks like, well, oh, there we go. Now you can't. You cannot.
What was that again? Is it because there's like an infinite number of?
Well, it's not really that. It's just that
You get infinite number of keys.
no. It's got something to do with like internally how Solidity turns the key into like a hash, and maybe it just doesn't support arrays yet or structs. I don't think structs work either.
In an array.
What?
Or you can't put one in one.
You can't put a array in a
I can't
key.
put my words in your ears.
Yeah.
You can't put an array. You cannot use an array as a mapping. As a key in a mapping.
You could put it as a value, right?
Value, yes, not keys.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
He's trying to
Okay.
multitask. Take it easy on him.
Huh?
He's trying to multitask.
I know it's E109, right?
A bomb.
Is it E109?
Yeah.
Yeah, get screwed, bro.
Hate bombs. I don't like bombs.
Oh, you're making a display. I remember. It's fun. It's fun getting like garbled text on my device. Okay. Back to the posit. So everyone is clear on why this mapping works. Why we're going from an address to a uint, right? Stop me anytime if you have questions. This is just like what Morpheus says, okay? With the red and blue pills. This is your last chance. Okay? Before midterm, which comes next Tuesday, which it literally it's like the exact same difficulty as homework 4.
So is it gonna be just like all coding and
Yeah.
not like conceptual questions?
Nope, because
Is there gonna be like a script that tells you what your percentage is?
yeah,
or-
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So real-time anxiety. Yeah. Well, because in the real world, people just ask you to build a product. They're not gonna ask you like, oh, I have like a sliding time window of schedules, or like, oh, like I need like I have. Have you ever had anyone in real life in person ask you, oh, like I'm trying to go camping, but then I have a backpack with limited capacity and then with limited volume, and I have a bunch of items with different volumes in different ways. Can you help me maximize the number of items I carry while minimizing the weight? No one, like you don't solve problems like that. So I'm not gonna ask you conceptual questions or everything we do here in ITP are practical. Is there a big difference when using require versus revert in modifiers? No, there isn't. Actually, revert is a bit more flexible because starting from I forgot which version, 0.8 point something, but you can actually define custom errors. And by custom errors, I mean like you can name an error. You can turn the error message into a variable name instead of a string. And that actually saves a lot of gas, because if you have the error message as a string called not owner, it will just get saved on chain and it'll say not owner. But if you have an error named owner not find error, and that's not an error message, it might just get saved to something like error 0 on chain, just 0. And locally, the compiled version will have a lookup table saying that error 0 corresponds to this error. So there's a new thing that they did that can save some gas, and that's only possible with revert. It doesn't work with require yet. So that's really the only thing. But when you guys are like, for the purposes of this class, there's really no difference. Okay. Oh wait, hang on. No. using custom errors, you use throw, not revert. So yeah, there is no difference. I'm sorry. So there is no difference between require and revert. Require is basically an if statement and revert combined into one.
So you can do like require and then as a second parameter, put in the custom error.
Require? No. The custom error thing I talked about only works with this keyword called throw that we haven't covered. And also, this is like only applicable to CS majors because otherwise you'll be a little bit confused. But you can do try catch facility, which we won't cover. And when you do catch, you can catch a revert and you can throw a different revert or something, but you can't do require. Or you can even catch revert and not revert, but just do something else instead.
Can you try require?
Huh?
You could require and try or no?
Well, you could, but like if I'm trying to revert revert once I catch something, you can't really do require because try catch doesn't give you a boolean. And revert just reverts on that line. When it hits that line, it reverts. Okay. So there's that. So let's now work on deposit, okay? So I want to do a few things. Let me list out the steps here, okay? Wow, look at this. So step 1, I want to go through the list of recipients, right? Step 2, for each recipient, oh, actually no. So step 1 is actually not go through. Step 1, calculate how much each recipient should get. Okay, step 2, go through a list of recipients and adjust their balance, I would say. Okay, and step 3, emit the event. Okay, so that's all we're doing here.
What about like checking if the pause is like true or false?
Pause?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one we'll just use the modifier that we
Okay,
yeah. So only not paused, and you notice that formatting is different. Okay. Formatting again doesn't matter.
Wait, but why does it do that, Jack? I was having that problem.
Like why does it do that?
Yeah.
Because imagine you have a small monitor, right? And if the line's too long, you have to constantly scroll left and right, which is annoying.
Right. But it's not
It doesn't affect anything. Yeah. Just like you can write all the code without ever using any indentation or like new lines. You can keep everything on a single line as long as you have as long as the brackets and the semicolons and everything else is present and correct, then compiler doesn't care. The formatting is just for our eyes. The computer doesn't care.
Also, I was trying to change that because I kept getting it, and like I saw it wasn't affecting, like all the tests were still passing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And then like I couldn't commit those changes for some reason. It would just like give me like a git command error or something.
So did you turn it multiply?
I did. I just I was trying to change it to have it all in one line because I just hated how that looked.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad because this is like an industry, well, not industry standard, but this is my standards. Okay, so this is the default formatting behavior for most plugins. They just do that. For most Solidity plugins, different languages, they have like different rules. For Python, indentation matters. Python is the only language that that heavily depends on something you can't see directly, which are spacebars. Like for example, how do you differentiate between 4 spacebars and a tab? Right, but you don't see it when you're coding. But Python, that makes a difference to Python, okay? Which is why Python is a fake language. Okay, so let's do this now. So first we have to calculate how much each recipient should get, okay? So we do that by doing, it's not even Algebra 1. I remember I had my high school AP physics teacher. Somehow my high school, they wanted him to teach Algebra 1. No, it was pre-algebra, it's even worse. And he was like, he said like, I don't know how to explain this addition any further. Like, it just like 1 plus 4 just equals 5. Like I don't know how to explain any further. Yeah, but here what we do is we just take the total amount of money that's being sent in, which is message.value. And then we divide it by the total number of recipients, which we can get by doing recipients.length. That would be the length of this list. Okay, and through that division, we can get the amount of money per person. Okay, so let's do funds per recipient. So that just equals message.value divided by recipients.length. Why isn't it working? Okay. And next up, we have to go through a list of recipients and adjust their balance. So we do a for loop. For UN256 I equals 0, this is like you should notice by now, okay? And then I plus plus, this is just like, it's just the way it is. Okay, that's just syntax bloat. So which is why some other languages they have like for like for example in Swift, so Apple Swift, okay, you can do like for JavaScript as well, I think, for const element or for like const recipient. Well, const isn't a type here, but it is in other languages in recipients. Just by doing this, like this is like a for loop that iterates through like everything in other languages. Okay, so this is just like annoying to type. So that's why other languages did this. But the advantage of doing it with numbers like that is that you can explicitly skip. So you can do another I++ here, a conditional one, and it will just skip elements. Okay. Anyhow, so we have a for loop. So what we're going to do is, so we have our data structure here. I totally forgot if you have Zoom thing. So we have our balances mapping. What we're going to do is, however much funds per recipient that we have, we're just going to add it to each recipient's balance. Okay, so what we're going to do is underscore balances, and then bracket recipients bracket I. Okay, so recipients bracket I will return the recipient at the current index, and then balances bracket the current recipient will give us their current balance, and we just do plus equals funds per recipient. Okay, and that's it. And then we just emit what's the event called? The deposit funds. Okay.
Can you explain the logic of the plus equals?
Plus equals just means so this is the same as this. They are the same. It's just shorthand. It's like yeah. And also so it's not restricted. It's not limited to plus. You can do minus. You can do multiply. You can do divide. All four. Yeah.
So it's just taking.
Yeah. It just changes the sign here, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, if you had the message.value is like one way, or like the smallest unit.
It'll be 0.
So it would just stay.
It'll get rounded down. It will always be you'll always get the floor value.
Okay, so it's okay, and then it would just stay in the contract.
Yeah, and it'll be something we call dust.
Gotcha.
It's too small to be accounted for.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah.
What do the arrows mean?
Where?
Like the
Up, down.
Down. Oh, okay. So this means if you hover over this, does it tell you? No, it doesn't. Okay. That just means like this point to this. This points to this. That's all.
it's because if you have like duplicate.
Like, okay, here's one. Let me open up. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, like a string and
Okay, let me show you another one where what are you doing? No one else can see this, but this guy is.
I'm just scratching my stomach.
Yeah, of course.
If their balance was already
Stop doing that.
use the belly rub.
He is like lifting it up. You don't see this, I see it. And he's giving me the look.
Plus equals.
No, if you don't.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna look for, oh, this one, okay. So for example, the east side smart contract, let me show you. Okay, when you have multiple parameters, doesn't the color coding help so much?
That looks great to me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the projector, I can't do anything about that.
What color? But why the arrows though?
Yeah.
Like, what's it pointing to?
It's the plugin.
The colors are pretty similar.
No, I promise you, it's the projector.
Are they different colors?
There are different colors.
And the boxes are for variables, right?
No, this one is green and this one is like pink.
Oh.
Yeah, the green doesn't even show up here.
Can't see it. You know what?
Yeah.
What extension that's called?
It's a part of the thing that I had you guys install, I believe. Okay, anyhow, coming back to this. Okay, now you got me curious. Let's see which one it is.
Won't they just all point?
Syntax highlighting, is this the one? Let's see. Yeah. Or is it, I think it's this one, Solidity Visual Developer. I don't know what it's code augmentation, sounds like cyberpunk. I love how like the errors look so, the illustrations look so cheap here. Yeah. Yeah, this plugin is the one doing that.
Cool.
Does it explain it anywhere? It's not important, okay?
Yeah.
But it just helps you to differentiate stuff. Like if you use any other IDE, so if you write code in other languages using like JetBrains, IntelliJ or C-Line, whatever, they also have things like that built in.
Sorry, could you do the thing again? Because my variables are different, so it's not like
Do what thing again?
when you showed me what the plus equals meant, like when you wrote it out long form.
So A plus equals B is basically A equals A plus B. You're just adding B, you're adding what's on the right side to the left side. That's all you're doing.
Okay. It's just that my variables are different, so that way.
Okay, so that's the deposit function done. I hope. Okay. And now the withdrawal. Okay. Now that the money has been accounted for over here. Okay. And now one of the recipients wants to come and withdraw the money. What are we gonna do? Right. So what we do is we first get the amount that the amount of money that they're owed, and then we basically we send in the money and then we subtract it from the amount. Actually, we should subtract it first. So in Solidity, you should always do bookkeeping first, because otherwise you're open to an attack called the reentrancy attack, which we'll talk about maybe after the midterm. Okay. Basically, what we do is we can do balances message at sender, because the person who's calling is the person who's withdrawing. I'll just do minus equals amount. Okay. Now, why can't I do this? Why do I not have to do an if? I don't have to do like if amount is bigger than balance or whatever. The reason why I don't have to do that is the type of the balance is a uint. A uint cannot go negative. Okay. In previous versions of Solidity, a uint is able to wrap around backwards to the max value if you subtract it past 0. But in starting from 0.8.0, if you try to do like 3 minus 4 and times in UINT, it will revert for you. So I don't have to check because I know that if this thing does not revert, it means the amount is smaller than what they have, or smaller or equal to. Okay. If they're trying to overdraft, then this will revert directly. So I don't have to do the check. Okay, it's redundant. But keep in mind that's only for version 0.8 and above. Lower ones, I forgot 0.8 or 0.7. But if you use compilers of a lower version, which you really shouldn't unless you're working with some legacy code, you don't have to do the numbers check. Okay, it's because it does it for you.
Wait, why don't you need the like payable transfer amount?
I haven't done it yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be above when you take the money out, or like so you verify it happened?
I don't have to verify it happened because either everything happens or nothing happens. Right? There's never going to be a case where I did the bookkeeping but the money didn't get sent out. Because if the money fails to get sent out, then the bookkeeping will be reverted. Yeah. Also, like if you try to do that, okay, let's do a thought experiment. Okay, so again, send the money payable message.sender.transfer, I believe, and then amount. Okay. Imagine we switched these lines. Remember the thing I talked about with the callback functions if the target is a smart contract? Okay. If the target is a smart contract, and if I write a callback function that calls withdrawal again, so what's going to happen is that
That's like recursion, right?
yeah. But but it never gets to the bookkeeping step. Because I call transfer to that address, and that address has a custom callback function that calls withdrawal again. And that calls transfer, which calls withdrawal again and calls transfer. And eventually, all the money in the smart contract is gone.
That's how you like get those exploits that people
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah. People are still getting hit with these. It's ridiculous. But that's what's called a reentrancy attack. So halfway through the code, so whenever you do transfer or whatever, you're handing over the control flow to an external contract, and that's always dangerous. So you always make sure whenever you go beyond your smart contract, whenever you lose control, you always do bookkeeping before. So imagine if I did bookkeeping before. If I did this, okay. Let's say I'm withdrawing the full amount. I'll withdraw the full amount, okay, and then it's going to come here, and I'm going to call withdrawal again, but then this will revert because now it's already 0. I've done the bookkeeping. So this hackers hate this one simple trick. Okay, so
The opposite. I didn't
literally just switching the lines makes a huge difference,
Yeah.
and that doesn't happen super often in other programs. But Solidity
I
is
thought it was I did it opposite, but like it still passed the test. I just thought
because
like
the testing
yeah.
doesn't. I couldn't be bothered to test for that, and also we didn't talk about reentrancy. That's why we're going to talk about it. We have a dedicated lecture on smart contract security, which is like so there are 3 pillars when it comes to writing Solidity code. First, can you actually write it? Okay. Secondly, is the code you write efficient? And thirdly, is the code that you write secure? Okay. The latter 2 are just as important, if not more important than the first one. Actually, the first one is the bare minimum. You can write code that compiles. Okay, good. But then it has to be efficient. And it has to be safe. Okay. Because whatever happens, you can't undo it on the blockchain. Yeah. The most you can do is send a disappointing tweet and try to beg the hacker to return money, which usually won't happen unless you're high profile. Can I re-explain why we do not need to require balances of message.sender to be greater than amount? Because when I do this subtraction here, if the end number is smaller than 0, then it won't work with a UINT. So that will revert automatically. So that's how I know if we can get past this line, then it means amount is not greater than the current balance. Yes. Nice, got it. Okay. So this is withdrawal, but also don't forget we have to emit the event. did, there we go, did withdraw funds. Recipient will just be message.sender. Okay. That's it, withdraw. Okay. And balance of, we just return a balance, right? Return balance is ADDR. Okay. And again, no message.sender because a view function doesn't generate a transaction, so there's no message.sender.
You say we don't need a if statement for withdraw, but if we don't have one and we don't have the else, how does it know to revert?
This one, okay, if this person is like in poverty mode, zero balance, okay, and they try to withdraw 1 ETH, okay, because they're delusional. What the end balance will become negative 1 ETH, but the type of the value is a uint, so obviously it cannot go negative. So so the contract will revert automatically because the value doesn't fit the type. If it's an int, then you have a problem, but then why would you ever use an int to track balances?
If you use an if statement, do you have to put the revert or no? Does it? Because
You do, I mean,
didn't put the revert at first and it didn't work.
yeah, you need to revert. I mean,
Like manually?
I mean, isn't the whole point of you manually checking it to revert it? Otherwise, why would you check for it?
What do you mean? Like doing a test case?
No, I mean, like, are you saying you should check if amount is greater than balance? If amount
Yeah.
is not greater than balance? But if you check it and don't do anything about it, then what's the point of checking it?
If you did the opposite.
Can you do like a require with that?
A what?
Yeah.
Like a require?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But I'm just saying, in this version of Solidity, 0.8 and above, the math protects you. The built-in math will protect you. Back then, in the good old days, let me show you. You have to be safe. You have to use this library called Safe Math. So this one, Safe Math. Okay. See, try add, try sub, try multiply, whatever. Yeah, so you can try to add, and what it does is that it checks if the sum is smaller than the number that you started off with, because if the sum is smaller, then it means it went over and brought back to 0. So that means it's an invalid addition. Same thing for subtraction. It checks if the it checks if if you're doing a minus b, it checks if b is greater than a for you here. Okay, but all of this and also multiplication and division. Okay, but all of these are now built into the language starting from 0.8.0 or something. At least the ones that we're using, they've got you covered, so you don't have to manually check anything. Okay, but back then when I was learning Solidity in 0.5 versions, you had to do it. Okay. Back when Bitcoin was like, back when Ethereum was $500, guys.
It's not that far.
No, Bitcoin is furthest. Bitcoin was let's see, 2019 Bitcoin price.
I think like $3,000.
Well, it went down tremendously. 2019, yikes. I learned it, I think, yeah, when I learned it, Bitcoin was like $4,000.
March.
Huh?
March.
Yeah, wow. How do you know this? Okay, anyhow. So that's why we don't have to check. You guys didn't know about this because I didn't tell you guys, but now you do. So, but if you did the extra work, worst case, you use a little bit more gas, but it doesn't matter because it's a fake contract. Well, it's not a fake contract, but we're not deploying it anyways. So on a live version, you want to really spend some time to do optimization, okay? And which we'll also talk about, right? So that's it. That's homework 4. I mean, is it hard? It's debatable. So it's just the core of homework 4 is just understanding 1, 2. So understanding these lines here, which really isn't much, right? But a lot of concepts are packed behind these 6 lines or 7 lines. Okay. I also forgot to do only not paused. No one caught that. Yeah. Okay. All right, any questions on homework 4?
Oh, and the underscores from the variables are just for style.
Yeah, semantics, yeah.
Is there any way to check, like when you're writing, how close you are to hitting like the computation of that?
Yes, but you have to do it in using TypeScript. You can check the gas used. So actually, I do it here. So look, I'm checking the I'm saving a deposit, a transaction receipt, and I can check gas used.
Right.
And like say this contract asked or wanted to like include gas prices and its gas cost. So
What do you
would
mean
it be
include gas price?
would it be something like the message value minus gas cost, then divided by recipient's list?
You don't know the gas cost when you haven't done the thing yet.
Like after deploying.
But even after deploying, I mean, the gas cost depends on the input. Because if the list is longer, then the gas use will be higher because it's loop. So you cannot get any information regarding gas inside Solidity.
If you wanted to interact with this contract, what would be the easiest way to do it? Like, kind of interact in a way that you can like interact on Remix. Like, maybe you can just play around.
You have to do TypeScript.
You have to do TypeScript.
Or okay.
Because like I mean, I put it into Remix just so I can put in addresses and just mess around with it to help me understand it better.
Yeah.
But there's like nothing you can do on like.
Yeah, but in future projects you won't be able to do that because then we'll be using outside packages which won't work on Remix. Because they're locally installed here in this folder.
Yeah.
That we just showed.
Would you have to like, if you really wanted to do it, like, would you have to, or maybe you can like deploy it on Ring B, and maybe interact with it that way.
Yeah, but like honestly, but after you do it, you also have to verify it, which we actually haven't done the verification process yet, because we actually haven't done the MetaMask lesson yet, because I forgot about that slide. But that's like a lot of things. Like, sure, you can do it, but also you can just learn TypeScript. Now there is a tool. I believe there is a tool to help you visualize it locally, but like it only works a quarter of the time. Yeah, a lot of these things are not very beginner friendly because they're really not meant for beginners. They're meant like this. Nobody really starts their programming journey on Solidity. Only we do because we're built different. Yeah, because Solidity, like the whole mindset of, actually, if you don't really have a mindset coming in, it might even be easier. But like even for traditional programmers, it's difficult to think of things to kind of you have to change your frame of reference and the way you approach problems when you write blockchain-based programs.
What do you think is the hardest thing? Or
Yeah, I
like
think it's
get
what?
for beginners?
Yeah.
Like for me, the hardest thing is just learning like logic concepts like the looping and.
Yeah, honestly, I would say that.
Is that
Like every time you try to write some code, you shouldn't try to just type whatever you can think of. You should try to first break it down into steps. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. What to do? What's the logic? And once your logic is clear, then the code will come easily. Yeah, because like if you just write whatever that works, you try to like. You want to do like trial and error, you want to brute force the test case. I mean, that just doesn't work because, when you park your car in the parking lot, in like a mall or something, do you remember where you parked, or do you just like go to every car and then press the remote, see if it responds, right? So that's the difference. And also, like, having good logic is really important, not just for programming, but for anything like.
So that, like, my question is to you then, like, do you think like the logic effort for Solidity is the same as other languages?
It is the same, it's just different. Logic is a bit different, but for complete programming beginners that haven't programmed before, getting into that state of mind is it's new. Yeah. It's a certain way of thinking.
It definitely takes time. It's like,
Yeah.
But you can like see the way you start thinking differently when you see these
Yeah,
things.
which is why I try to not rush anything. I'm like, if you have questions, ask. We can spend more time on mappings until you get sick of it. But the more you spend time thinking about these things earlier on, the easier stuff later on will stick with. Okay. Questions on homework 4? Yeah.
In the deposit function, I just set the balance is equal to the funds added.
Well, now you're discarding your previous balance.
Yeah, but your test case doesn't test for that, or
Yeah,
it just sets the balance to 0.
It's a gift for me. Take it. Just know that, like, when you deposit a $100 bill into your bank balance, but it doesn't just become 100.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Can you explain modifiers again?
Modifiers are just like code snippets that get run before a function.
Like always?
So what this means is that you can proceed to whatever's happening next. And modifiers,
Save you gas to like not just repeat the require statement.
it doesn't. The compiler will make everything, like the compiler will copy and paste it for you. But the difference is if you have the same check in 5 different places and you have to modify the check, if you use a modifier, you have to modify it in one place. But if you copy and paste it, you have to copy and paste four times again. Yeah. It's for your own consistency and code readability.
How flexible is it, like use the dot syntax, like just to
Which syntax?
like dot, like in the sense of transfer dot payable address or contract
It's
dot
all
or-
predefined. You can look it up.
But like how many dots you have to go before it like becomes too much?
Oh, I don't think there's a limit. Mainly because I've never hit the limit. Eventually, it all become too hard for me to read myself, so I'll separate it.
On the midterm, will we have stuff with like transfer and payable?
Maybe.
It's like a maybe yes or maybe no.
Isn't that the same?
Does the midterm
Isn't a
like
maybe
test
yes also a maybe no?
There's a different like way to mean it, you know what I mean?
I mean, the glass is half full and is half empty. It's
Same.
okay. I get it, but it's a maybe. Maybe whatever.
Does the midterm have like test cases that we're
Yes,
trying
yes,
to pass?
yes,
So it's not
yes.
just like submit and
Yes, if you get you all know how much you get.
Is it possible to pass on the test cases and like not do it correctly, or like not
Maybe.
that?
Because, for example, the thing that you did, maybe.
Yeah.
If it happens, then just keep it to yourself. Or you can tell me, I won't take points off because I go off of the test script. I can't punish you because I missed the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I told you.
Can you explain the purpose of interface?
Interfaces are okay. So let me show you this one. Okay, I can't share that. not 69 hertz.
I don't think you can hear that.
Can you? No, I don't think so.
We just heard it.
That wasn't 69 hertz.
Okay, so let's back to the East Side smart contract. Okay, so interface makes a lot of sense when other people are trying to use their smart contract. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out a bit. This smart contract is 200 lines long. Okay. When someone else is trying to interact with this smart contract, they have to get the function signatures, right? Otherwise, they don't know which functions to call. But they don't really have to know what goes on, what the logic is, and because they don't have control over it anyways, right? So all they need really is just the function part of it, function signature. They don't have to know the logic. But if you give them the logic anyway, it's just a waste of space. Okay. Also, so this is the compiled. This is the byte code, or no, sorry, this is the ABI. So ABI stands for Application Binary Interface. It's something that if a web front end is trying to interact with a smart contract, they have to use this file. The one for the complete eSign v4, like with everything. Let me see. The size is 1.1 megabytes. Okay. Wait, this is a bad example because I don't have an interface in this one. Okay, let me find one that has an interface. Maybe eSign 3.0. I think I have it. Oh, I don't have it on my computer though. Do I? You know what? Let me just write a new interface right now. How about that? And show you guys how much more lightweight it is. Okay. So let me take this. Let me create a new file. Okay. Let me call that IESign. I stands for interface v4. Okay. And what I'm going to do in here is I'll copy paste. I'll just copy paste everything and then I'll start deleting things. Actually, I'll copy paste the whole file. But I'll delete all of these, turn it into an interface, delete the inheritance, delete all of these because I don't need these. Events I can leave any interface, but yeah, I'll leave it. I'll leave the events, okay? And then I will, I don't need this one, initialize. It's a constructor. It's constructed for upgradable contracts. You can't have it in an interface. I'll delete the logic because you're not supposed to have logic in an interface. Okay, delete all of the logic here. Delete logic. I'll delete this one because sorry, this one's using a struct which I deleted. I'll delete this one. Deleting more logic, all the logic. Okay. Now this is an interface now. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is internal. Interfaces can only be external. The functions. Okay. This is a proper interface now. So let me now compile this. Okay. I'm gonna have everything installed. No, I don't. Wait, I do. Why am I installing? Okay, it's already started. But the point is, what you'll see is the, okay, there we go. NPX. Okay, done. Now, let's take a look here. Under build contracts. Why do I not see it? Oh. Wait, did I overwrite the previous file? I did. Okay. This one's still 1.1 megabytes. Look, the file with everything in it, 1.1 megabytes. Okay, I can't zoom this in. Oh wait, I'm not sharing that. Okay. Yeah, this file 1.1 megabytes. Okay, the file with everything. The interface 57 kilobytes.
And this is only for like external.
Yeah, because you can only call external. Yeah, exactly. Well, public functions, they're not in the interface, so only external functions. But just look at the savings in size. Okay. So it's a lot more lightweight because the people that are calling your smart contract really they don't really care about what happens in it when they're calling. Of course, they have to know what your contract is doing beforehand. But when they're calling it, it doesn't really matter. So you don't need all that data. Basically.
Can you show them again side by side?
Huh?
Can you show them again?
Two files.
Yeah, like side by side.
Okay.
Thank you.
So look, this one is also quite long. Okay. I think they're all just. Oh yeah, no. This one's 1,500 lines. This one is 25,000 lines. And that's just talking about lines, okay? There are super long lines in here, okay? Yeah, this is a pretty long line, I bet you. Okay, this is not too long.
And so the right one's the one that only has the interfaces, right?
Yeah, bytecode. This is a super long line, the bytecode stuff. Okay. Look. It's super long, okay? But you don't need that. You don't need the bytecode of the whole contract. You just need to know which functions to call. That's what matters to the people that it's like I don't need to know how the wall plug works inside of it. I just need to know like the kind of plug that I need and I'll just plug it in.
And you can have the logic. Interface on two separate files.
Yeah. That's usually what happens. I had everything in one in homework 4 so that you don't have to switch back and forth. Okay. So that was
The bytecode will be the same regardless of the chain that you're on, right?
Yes.
Is there anything that does change?
No. Compiler version might change the bytecode.
Could I give a student suggestion?
Sure.
For at least for visual people, it helped me a lot to see this like right away and clicked a lot better when it came to the interfaces because when we were just looking through the slides, like it was hard for me to imagine. Just because I'm a visual person too.
Because I have to like give you guys some kind of context, even if you don't understand it yet, so that we can have like more informed conversations right now.
Seeing that side by side like really helped
Yeah.
me solidify the concept.
Ha ha ha.
That was not,
Is that intentional?
now it is.
Okay, so that was homework 4, all done. Okay. What we're gonna do next. We have like 30 minutes left. Do we have any questions on anything so far with the material before I go forward and talk about some other stuff?
What's your favorite programming language besides Solidity and Swift?
Wow, you know I like Swift. C++ is not too bad. I like it. I used to not like it because I thought it was, like, sure, everyone said it was the most performant, whatever, but all we did in CS104 was write console garbage, right? No one cared about it. Until I took, like, a game programming class. So we used, like, STL, and now, like, I'm learning Unreal 5, you also use C++. if you want to, and I think I like it. Like I like languages with practical use cases. And okay, by practical, I mean there's like a lot of definition. Also, TypeScript's actually pretty nice, I think. JavaScript not so much. TypeScript, yes.
Why not JavaScript?
It's too ambiguous. Which is why I don't like Python. Everything's like too magical. I don't know why it works, but it does.
Yeah.
It looks like it shouldn't, but it does. Like mixing types in a single array.
Well, isn't like pretty much anything you do in JavaScript, you can do in TypeScript?
JavaScript is a superset of TypeScript.
Okay.
Being that, is it the other way around?
TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. Any
Doesn't superset mean like TypeScript contains JavaScript?
like you can't compile TypeScript in JavaScript. You can compile JavaScript in TypeScript. TypeScript is bigger.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So
Can you declare things with no types?
In TypeScript,
You can't. You can have any type, but it's still a type.
you can also, if you don't put a type, it'll just say it'll infer anything.
Doesn't it give you a syntax error?
so JavaScript.
That might be your linter, but like the JavaScript's just TypeScript, but you don't have to use types. And actually, you can't use types. So every variable is just a name.
Ha. Someone wrote a proof saying TypeScript is neither a subset nor a superset of JavaScript. Okay, that's unrelated to anything. Yeah, but mainly I also came to like it because I started writing test cases using it. I like all the complaints and whatnot that I get in TypeScript.
How'd you learn TypeScript?
Just YouTube. I learned all the useful stuff on
Yeah,
Solidity,
essentially everything. Yeah.
Solidity, Swift, TypeScript, JavaScript. Never taught in class ever.
JS fuck.
Huh?
JS fuck.
JS what?
JS fuck.
Fuck?
You can compile.
How do you know all these?
It's really cool. If you can turn any JavaScript code and translate it into just parentheses, brackets, pluses, and minuses, and it'll run.
Yeah, you can also define macros in C and then write like really weird stuff. Okay, any other question? You guys look very, maybe I should make the midterm harder. It looks like everyone's chilling here.
We're the people that show up.
Huh?
We're the people that show up.
Oh, so I'll give you guys the easy ones. And
Yeah,
I'll-
exactly. We come here all the time showing you that.
Yep.
Go back.
That should count as something.
There should be
Yeah,
a
exactly.
show up participation.
I know. It means that you know I believe you guys are better.
No.
No?
Whoa.
So you come to class when you're worse?
We're good.
It means I have higher hopes for you, so I'll make
Just as
We're
good.
more
Challenge.
deserving.
Yeah, we're more deserving
deserving of what?
of
Better grade.
of an easy midterm.
Easy midterm. But the thing is, like, if I make it easy, it means I don't care, which is why I'm not making it easy.
There's your answer.
No, it's huh? No, it's the. Isn't that like what Asian parents say when what they use to justify their physical abuse?
I'm doing this because I
I'm
love
doing
you.
this because I care. But it's the same difficulty as homework one. Okay. I actually, should I say this? There's copyright, but I saved the entire website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a self-learning thing where you read through the stuff that they wrote.
Is it actually on YouTube?
That one cost 2,000 something euros. I got it for free because. But after that, I just learned everything. Google, when I ran into problems, Stack Overflow, everything.
So what you learned it through was just like just script, like it was just like text articles about it, or what do you mean?
It was like an online course that they made, but it was mainly in text.
How do you get it for free?
They were running a promotion on Reddit because I'm a normie, so I'm always on Reddit. and you know, someone in this class reached out to me on Reddit and not on email. I don't even know how they found out about my Reddit.
That's weird.
Anyhow, so they were running that promotion, and the promotion was like, we're gonna do this boot camp, and we're gonna, like, if you want to take this programming test, and if you rank, I guess they take the top however number of people, and they'll sponsor their seats or something. So I got that. You know, naturally, I got the top score in that programming, of course. Yeah. That wasn't even a question. Yeah.
How legit is Crypto Zombies?
It's pretty legit, I think.
Like, you think you can get some good?
I mean, I never gave it a try, but but I've seen it help many other people, so I think it's legit.
Like, do you think it'll help us at all now that we?
I think so.
Even still, like, no.
Yeah, have you seen Oliver?
Oh, did he use it?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
okay.
finished homework for
Yeah, that's why I said it.
He finished it the day I assigned it.
Okay.
He's not even actually in this class. Like
Wait.
he's not enrolled.
Oh, he's not?
No.
Damn, that's
No.
commitment.
He's skipping all of his enrolled classes to come to this one.
That's a good origin story right there. So I'm gonna give that a try then.
Okay, anyone who is desperate but also shy when it comes to like asking questions. You can be desperate and shy in many other aspects. But asking like midterm related questions, anything on the material that we have so far, that you don't quite understand or you're not really sure about, we can do some clarifications.
Can you go over withdraw again?
Withdraw?
Yeah. I don't
Withdraw
wanna-
is when you stop drinking.
The other
and
withdraw.
you get the shakes. Go over withdrawal, okay.
Oh, but first, can you go over the thing I already asked you about, and then I asked you again, and I still don't get it?
Which one? Oh, plus equals.
Yeah. Okay.
How'd they
You
find
said
your Reddit
desperate.
account?
I'm pretty desperate.
You're pretty desperate? Okay. If you're so desperate, I can't use the Blackboard because the people on Zoom won't see it. It's literally a shorthand, okay? So I'll type it here. And I'll share this.
How did they find your Reddit account?
I don't know.
I'm trying to find it right now.
Stop trying to
Send it in Piazza.
It's fine if you find it because I don't post anything sketchy or comment in weird subreddits. But I'm gonna make the font really big to make it impactful, like
Wow.
in your face. Wow. Okay. So A plus equals B is the same as how do I like equals? That just makes it confusing. Next line, but yeah, I guess next line. It's the same thing as A equals A plus B. And then A minus equals B is A equals A minus B. Yep. I can make the font larger.
Like if I'm just putting numbers in my head, I'm just putting numbers in my head right now. So like if A equals 1 and B equals 2,
Yes.
C equals 3, but A doesn't equal 1.
Well,
It's
you
all
don't write a
mathematical.
number, like you write just the simple A equals A plus B, like you're not writing 4, like if it's 2 plus 2, you're not saying 4 plus equals 2, you're saying A plus equals 2, which would increase the value of A by 2. It's kind of like how when you like assign things, like it's weirder encoded, like it's not how you think. You know what I mean?
It's not mathematical.
It's not how you think. Okay.
It's just going up by 2, or whatever the value of B is.
It's going up. Wait, will you
Like,
repeat that again?
okay, A, you have to assign a new value to A, okay? So A is gonna become something else. You can't just do plus. You can say like A equals A plus B, it's the same exact thing, and you can say that. But like to make it shorter, you do plus equals. So it's like A plus equals B. The hell?
Counterintuitive math, you just define it here.
Yeah.
6 equals. Oh.
Not changing the value. I think that's why.
So like, if I understood you correctly, so what you're saying is like.
So what this is
It's just updating.
the new value of A is equal to the current value of A plus B.
Oh,
Now give you a
okay.
new number and you assign that number to back to A. So now this
Oh,
A is
The natural
updated.
question
This
like,
is the
why-
old A.
why
This
don't
is
we
the old
change-
A.
Oh,
This
this
is
is old A.
yeah.
Okay.
the natural
Like the
question-
right side's always the old side, the left side's the new side.
Okay, that actually helps. Thank you.
But you can always write it out, write everything out, or it's fine. The compiler will probably shrink it down. I'm not sure though.
I still don't have that like.
Like you
coding
could say
logic.
like C.
Let me think of an analogy. There we
No,
go.
no, I get
There's
it
no
now,
analogy,
but I
there's no
like.
analogy.
No, I get it now a lot better. But just you were saying like the old and the new.
Okay. Do you know what is the 1,000-year-old egg?
No.
Look it up.
I've heard. I've
Yep.
eaten it.
You've eaten it?
I have. I love it. I had it 4 days ago.
Did you go buy it? Did you do it yourself?
I bought it.
Is it like an oyster?
Oh, it's an egg that they preserve in like ash, salt, for like
Sulfur or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they preserve it for 1,000 years.
Will you eat it?
Do they really?
No.
Who did that?
I think it's
Put it in like 60 days.
I think it's duck egg, right?
It's both.
It's duck.
Oh,
I think
it's
it's just
usually
duck.
done.
I'm like, okay.
How's what?
How is this related to?
It is related, okay? So let's say you have an egg holder for some reason. Some people have that, you know. If you're like an average egg enjoyer, I don't know. So you have an egg holder, okay? And that holder, you give the holder a name, you call it A. Okay?
You call the egg old egg?
A, like the letter A.
Oh, A.
The letter A, okay? You're giving objects name now. That's what happens when you take this class. So your egg holder is called A. And A's value is whatever the thing that it holds, okay? So what we're saying is, what goes onto the A is basically the original egg plus this process that turns it into the thing that you saw in the picture. And you put it back, and that's the new thing that the egg holder holds.
It's the process, is what you're saying.
Huh?
B is the process, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you can think of it that way. It's basically, okay, so the A here is the original normal egg. So this represents the value of A right before this line happened. Okay. And what you're doing on this line is you're taking the value of A before this line happened, adding it to something else, and then updating the value of A. Yeah. It's an updating process. I don't think that's a good analogy.
No, I mean, I get the concept now. I'm pretty,
No, it wasn't. It's all in the worst. It's all in the worst ones.
pretty solid now. I get it.
Oh, also one more thing I want to talk about actually. I promised I would talk about, I would explain what async and await means. And I have a tremendous analogy for that one. Actually, that's like the mother of all my analogies. Okay. So inside of, whoops, that's the wrong one. Inside the test case,
Trying to find your Reddit account.
stop trying to find my Reddit account. Okay. Async await. What does that mean? So let's look at this one, okay? Because this one's like, we're only doing one thing here. Actually, no. Let's see. Okay, this one. Let's talk about this one. Why do some code some of the code have like a wait in front of it. Okay. A wait basically indicates whatever the piece of code after it does, whatever work that the code that the code after it does, it has to take some time. Okay. So it takes, so for example, if you're calling a smart contract function on the blockchain, it takes a while to be confirmed or to be mined or whatever. Meaning that it's not an instant process like 1 + 1. You get it instantly. You don't get the results instantly. So usually functions involving code snippets involving networking or interacting with any external system, you have to use an await. Okay. The reason why we use an await is we cannot proceed onto the next line to check for the event emitted before this transaction has finished. If we don't put in a wait here, it will initiate they will call the smart contract function, but proceed immediately without waiting for it to finish. And if it hasn't finished, then we don't get the event. So this will always fail, even if our code is correct, without the await. So that's why you need the await. Similarly here, this one, we have to wait for the contract to be, for a new version of the contract to be deployed to refresh everything before you can move on to the next test case. If you don't await for this, then there's a chance that when the code gets to the new test case, the new version of the contract hasn't been deployed yet, so it's still interacting with the older version of the contract, which is not what we're intending to do. Okay. So the difference, okay, so here's the difference. There are times where you don't have to use a wait, but almost never in this class. Okay. So imagine, the relationship between calling a smart contract and then checking the events it emitted. It's the same as the relationship between you turning, everyone showers here, I hope. You turning on your shower, waiting for the water to warm up, and using like body wash on yourself, right? So basically, you have to wait for the first thing to happen before the second thing can happen. You don't just use body wash without water, or do you? I don't know. Is that your right? So we use a wait when we need to wait for something to happen. The scenarios that we don't need to use a wait is like you can turn on the water, wait for it to heat up, and then go brush your teeth at the same time. That is fine. And in code, you do that by using something called callbacks, but we don't have to. We don't cover it here. Okay. Callback basically means this function will have another piece of code attached that will get triggered once this function is finished. But in the meantime, we can move on. But in this case, in all of our test cases, we need to strictly wait for the stuff to be confirmed or the transaction to be finished before we can check the results of the transaction. So that's why everything here has a wait. Do we need to use, no. Midterm, there's nothing, you don't have to modify the testing script in the midterm. So there's no, this is TypeScript, not Solidity, okay? So this is why we use a wait, right? So it's like, you have to wait for the water to come up to turn hot. And then you walk in and use body wash, right? You have to wait, you can't use body wash before the water is ready, basically.
So does the TypeScript when it tests out a function?
Yeah.
It tests out a function and then it tests out the next one. Does it test out the next one with like new inputs, right?
What do you mean?
Like the TypeScript provides the function inputs, right? So
I don't
or but you provide it to the TypeScript.
Yes.
It's just are each of those inputs randomly generated, or
I randomly generate all the inputs, or most of the inputs.
and are they? I guess what I'm trying to ask is are they randomly generated at the same time, or one by one at each one?
Just randomly generated. So it depends on where it's at, right? So this one. If it's outside of any before or whatever, this is generated just once per like npm test command, and all that's generated before anything happens. And you see, this one has no await because you don't have to wait for the system to come up with a random number.
Yeah.
It's instant. But when it comes to interacting with the blockchain, calling smart contract functions, you have to wait because it's not something you can control. You're waiting for an external entity to get back to you, which is the blockchain. That's why you have to wait. And also, when it comes to like getting the signer, this is also, you also use a wait because technically you're also interacting with the blockchain. Like not a blockchain, but with something called a provider, which is like your MetaMask wallet. So this hard hat has like a built-in wallet thing that's separate from the blockchain and the TypeScript stuff.
Back to the one that doesn't have a wait.
This one? Are you saying this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that like a peer? Is it like a peer function? Because it's not interacting with the blockchain.
This is not a Solidity function. It's a TypeScript function. But like it has nothing to do with the blockchain at all. I'm just trying to I'm just asking it to come up with a random number and then convert it into ether. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess like a question on that then. If you had like a function that you were trying to test out, and that function was like a peer function, you wouldn't await that, right?
You would.
You would await that.
Yeah. So case in point, this one. Owner. The owner function is a view function. But you still have to await because you're well, okay, so for this one you're reading from the blockchain, that's right. So as long as so basically all the smart contract functions you have to await. Doesn't matter if they're view pure or anything. Now, just because we have an await doesn't mean it's slow. It means that it could potentially be slow.
Final question about the final. Are we gonna have to construct
Final or midterm?
final, like end of the semester? Are we gonna have to like construct the TypeScript and then construct the contract?
Yeah. Maybe, let me check.
What if you only make like really simple test cases?
Then I will know and I'll give you the disappointed look. Let me see. Actually, you know what? I'm not telling you. Yeah, I'm not telling you what's included and what's not. But obviously, this is a smart contract class, so there's going to be smart contracts.
I guess like my main concern is
You'll be ready. We'll have 2 homework assignments, 2 or 3.
but can you still, will your TypeScript abilities affect like the outcome of like your grading on your smart contracts?
No.
Okay. So you could like totally bomb.
I have my own tests as well.
Okay. So you could totally bomb like the TypeScript part.
Yeah.
Do good on
Yeah.
this one. Okay.
I mean, if not, then you can just give yourself 100s. Okay, 5:47. I don't have anything else, guys. Good luck on the midterm Tuesday. Don't suffer too much. Okay. You can always just give up. No.
Thanks for the help.
Will there be like anybody up there for questions or just email?
Piazza private questions.
Like, all that.
Oh, also, yeah. I don't think this needs to be said, but don't post any midterm questions publicly on Piazza, okay?
Why not?
I will ban you. I won't ban you, but I'll convert it to private question, but just don't do it. And especially don't do, here's my code.
So there's a couple parts.
sleep all night. It was
Parts in question are
just took some time.
What's
A
in the
lot of
course
time.
is also like
So like not really like when you do each ring, like do one slap.
yeah.
But
It's like connecting to
it's like automatic.
Basically, like you could, if you're gonna make a circuit,
Sure.
like you can use wires and cut shit
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah, you actually sent that to me?
Yeah.
It's not active though.
Doable, but just a big piece.
Oh,
So what this is basically
Yeah.
every column is like exposed, one exposed line of something around it. So it's like.
No, it's a weird.
And I wanted to
Huge problem.
I'll just make
make
both of you guys just text me.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to connect like this little extra like, you know, I wanted